Welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. So today we're going to be making tsoureki. It's a classic Greek brioche style bread that's really, really delicious and super easy to make. I'm going to show you how I make mine. It's really easy. It actually took me a long time to learn how to make this. I failed many times a few years back and I kind of gave up until I, created this recipe. The really prominent flavor in tsoureki that makes it different from any other kind of brioche kind of bread is the mahlepi, and it's also called machlab, and it's basically like the pit of a cherry, of a sour cherry, and this is what they look like. They smell beautiful. They have like a nutty kind of floral aroma to them, and you want to make sure to grind them. I like to grind mine in a coffee grinder, and if you don't have these or they're hard to find, you can find these in like a Middle Eastern or Mediterranean market. You can also buy them online. I love to buy them on Amazon. But again, if you can't find them, you can substitute your favorite flavorings like vanilla extract, some zest, really whatever you want to put in there to make it. But to get the classic tsoureki flavor, this is what gives it that flavor. We need a little bit of unsalted butter, some eggs. I'm going to use some orange zest, a little bit of salt, sugar, all-purpose flour, some milk that's been warmed up to a little bit warmer than room temperature. That's going to help activate our yeast, which is already in our mixture. We have some yeast, dry yeast, and some sugar in here. I'm going to put my milk and about 2 tablespoons of the flour in here. And I'm just going to let it kind of sit and hang out and bloom, as they say. And that's going to take about 10 minutes, and I'm going to show you what it looks like once it's ready. But in the meantime, I'm going to zest my 2 oranges in here. Now you can completely leave this out if you don't like orange zest. Orange zest is not classically in here, but I love the taste of orange zest combined with the mahlepi. It's just really more, it makes it more aromatic, and I like the flecks of orange in the bread as well. So I'm just going to zest these 2 oranges and let that sit for 10 minutes to bloom, and we'll move on to the next step. So after 10 minutes, this is what the yeast mixture looks like. It's kind of bubbled up, and what they call that blooming. It's bloomed, and now it's ready to for us to add the rest of our ingredients. And before we do that, in my flour mixture, I'm going to add some salt, just about a half a teaspoon of salt. And then I've melted some butter. I've melted some butter over here. You can melt it in the microwave or over the stovetop, whatever you want. Do that. Put some lukewarm whole milk in here with your sugar. It's about 2 cups of sugar, but don't worry about the measurements because they're all on the website, www.dimitrasdishes.com. And I'm also going to whisk these eggs up just a little bit and combine them to all the rest of the wet ingredients. Add them, I should say. I'm just going to mix this all up and then add it to my yeast mixture. I'm going to pour that in here. And then the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to add a full heaping tablespoon of my ground up mahlepi, which is, this is what it looks like once it's done. If you could only smell it, you'd never want to leave this out, trust me. So I'm putting about a tablespoon, a little bit more. And I've coarsely ground it, as you can see. I like to have like some finely ground pieces and then some kind of chunks of it. I like to see it in my tsoureki. If you want it finer, you can definitely do it finer than that. You use a mortar and pestle, or a coffee grinder works great. I'm going to turn on my mixer and just combine everything, and then I'm just going to add the flour to it. All this flour little by little. And this is going to knead for about 6 to 8 minutes until it all comes together and a nice dough forms. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in about 8 minutes. If you're using the stand mixer, let me turn it off for a second. If you're using a stand mixer, It shouldn't go above the second speed. I would start on the stir speed right here that it says over here, stir. Let it stir for about 6 minutes, and maybe the last 2 minutes put it up to maybe number 2. You could also do it by hand. If you're mixing this by hand, make sure knead it for at least 10 minutes until a nice elastic and smooth dough forms. It's still going to be sort of sticky because it's buttery and it's a very rich dough. So I'm going to let this knead in my stand mixer for about 8 minutes. All right, so the dough is done kneading, and I'm just going to butter up with whatever butter is left on this sheet, this butter wrapping paper. You could also, if you've already thrown it out, you could also like oil your bowl so that way your dough can rise. We're going to put this in the bowl, and this is a sticky dough, so don't be worried about that. It's not going to be completely smooth like when we make bread. This is a rich dough that has a lot of butter and milk and stuff in it, so it's going to be a little bit stickier than other doughs, but it's going to be beautiful once we form it. So now I'm just going to leave this on the side to double in volume, and that can take, depending on the temperature in your house, the seasons, and all that kind of stuff, it's going to take anywhere between 1.5 to 2 hours, maybe a little bit more. Once you see that it's doubled up in volume and in size, then you know it's ready. I'm going to clean this area up in the meantime, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so it took my dough 2 hours here to rise. At the bakery, it takes about less than 1.5 hours because it's much warmer there. But this is what it looks like. You see it has the beautiful specks of orange that the orange zest left, and then see how nice and smooth it's become? I'm going to take it out. And this makes 2 loaves of tsoureki. So I'm going to cut this in half. Leave it on the side. And I'm going to cut each portion into 3 because we're going to make this into a braid. Now, technically, this is served at Easter, Greek Easter. It's really common to serve this with some coffee. And I really wanted to bring you this recipe before Easter, but I got sick and I lost my voice and all that good stuff. So I'm bringing it to you now. And I like to eat this all year round, so it doesn't really matter when you make it. Start practicing now, so when next Easter rolls around, you could have this recipe down and perfect. So we're going to have 6 portions of dough. Then we're going to roll it out into long, a little bit over than 12-inch ropes, and then we're going to braid them, and they're going to be beautiful braided breads. Really impressive, really delicious, and very, very easy to make. Let me get this bowl out of the way, and then we're going to start rolling. Okay, so it's really easy. All you really do is just roll this out until you have long ropes, about 12 to 14 inches long. Should do, like that. Put this on the side. The dough doesn't need any flour or anything else. Just line them up like that. And you want to take one piece and take it over, pull this one out. And you just continue braiding, just like so. So once you get to the bottom, pinch it all together and kind of roll it so it looks nice and pretty. And then just braid the top portion. And do the same, pinch it together and roll it. And then you want to put it on a piece of a baking sheet that's lined with parchment paper. Each one goes on its own baking sheet because I'm going to do the same thing with these other 3 portions. So these are going to sit on the side for about an hour until these also double up in size. And then we're going to bake them. So before you bake them, I think once half an hour passes, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. I'm going to continue to roll these out. All right, so my tsoureki breads have finished rising. They've sat for a little over an hour. And it is best to put them in the warmest place in your house, the one where there's no air conditioning, no drafts. They rise much faster that way. What I have here is some egg wash, which is just 1 egg and 1 egg yolk with a little bit of water that I've just whisked up to combine. And I'm going to brush mostly down the sides of my tsoureki, and this is going to bake at 350 degrees for 25 minutes, depending. So it might take 25 to 30 minutes. It's going to be like a beautiful auburn color. It's not going to be a light golden color. This is a rich, nice, dark auburn color. And then I like to kind of leave the middle without the egg wash because I like it when it's auburn and then it has some white spots as well. I just think it looks nicer. And then I like to sprinkle some sliced almonds on top. You can put almonds, sesame seeds, or just leave it without anything and just brush the egg wash on there. It'll be perfect. It's going to be so pretty. Let me do the other one. All right, so the tsoureki cooked for a little over 25 minutes. This recipe I've actually been testing at the restaurant, and my oven at the restaurant is a convection oven. It's a convection oven. So for some reason it cooks much faster, and it cooks at exactly 25 minutes over there at 350 degrees. And my oven at home just took a little bit longer. So like I said, depending on your oven, it might take anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes. This is what it looks like when it's done. It's beautiful. It's golden in the center. It's mahogany color all around. Now, technically this is supposed to sit for at least 20 to 25 minutes so it can rest and kind of, continue to absorb whatever the heat is left in there, but I have no patience. I let it sit for about 10 minutes. Look at how beautiful that looks. I let it sit for about 10 minutes, and I'm going to cut into this so I can show you how it is inside. There are different kinds of tsoureki, and again, tsoureki is technically made around Easter time and New Year's time, and pretty much any holiday in Greece. And there are two kinds. There's the cake-like one that has more like a crumb texture, but my favorite one is the one that's stringy and like bread, like this. It's a sweet bread, and again, I'll tell you, it's like brioche. I was going to bring this to you before Easter, but I got really sick, lost my voice. As you can tell, it's still not 100% back, but it is absolutely delicious. Go on my website, www.dimitrasdishes.com, and get this recipe, make it. I'm going to slather a little bit of butter on this baby right here, and I prefer salted butter because I like the salty with the sweet. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea and eat this beautiful bread. So good. You guys go and get the recipe. Make it. It freezes well, so once it's completely cooled, wrap it up in plastic wrap and pop it in your freezer if you're not going to eat it all at once. And let me show you. Put the camera in really close so I can show you what it looks like. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone. This is what it looks like. Beautiful. See you guys next time.